you said before, we're not Sky News.
No, we're not Sky News. We don't fucking interview people.
Yeah. No, this is interesting because like it's different questions for you compared to like so fucking we've had Smarty on, we've had Aiden.
You've had
on.
Smarty, Aiden, Doug.
Doug.
Ginge been on it yet? I don't know.
He's
No,
coming
he was
on.
meant to be
We've
on.
had Kev
but-
on. We're trying to get Martin on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the questions are different, aren't they?
Yeah, some of them could be the same
Yeah.
because obviously.
Well,
it's
some
where it
of
all
the
started.
earlier stuff, but I'm also just buzzing to chat about wrestling for a bit. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
alright,
like,
yeah.
yeah, honestly, like it's been so long since I've chatted about wrestling and stuff, like because I just kind of filter in and out of it. I don't keep track of what's going on, but if there's someone that I know, like things pop up on YouTube all the time and shit
Mhm.
like that, and you'll click on it. It's always like classic stuff.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, I'll keep up to date as much as I can, but it is more just.
you watch
Oh,
everything, like.
I keep up to date with like the Raw and SmackDown highlights. I watch NXT, but it's mainly AEW, the main thing I'm watching just now.
Yeah.
Then obviously I'll watch all the local stuff with my mates, like boys doing the Pro 2 wrestling, I'll watch the YouTube shows and all that stuff. All the people in Glasgow doing it as well.
It definitely seems like AEW's had this like rise with fire and WWE's kind of say stagnated. I don't want to say like it's
Yeah, well, that's what it seems like from someone who's not keeping an eye on
Yeah.
things. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, is that the case? Like, it's kind of,
I'm not up to date with it as much as I should be, but it's just more like a lot of people are leaving. Well, from what you see, a lot of people went from like jump ship from WWE to AEW.
Mhm.
Like literally, all I've been doing is watching Samoa Joe since he's went to AEW. It's just
I mind that dude. I remember that dude from the TNA.
TNA,
days.
yeah, man.
Like,
I-
yeah, I think TNA is still on the go as well. Is it?
who's that? Joe?
Oh
Oh,
no,
TNA,
TNA
Impact. Yeah, Impact's still on the go as well.
That's
yeah, that
wild.
was like because it would have like I say mainstream wrestling, but it had like Raw and SmackDown on like Sky,
yeah.
and TNA would be on.
It was like
Bravo.
Spiker
Yeah.
Challenge, wasn't it? That's what it was.
Something that would have questionable movies on it after a certain time. But you see, like it was like a different ring in that, wasn't it? It was like
That's-
triangular.
They
or
did the
something.
hexagon ring, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
And
it was
there
like
was-
a darker kind of atmosphere. To
I
it
always
and
thought
shit.
there was so much more you could do with a 6-sided ring than a 4-sided ring.
I thought it was
like,
well cool. I was
yeah.
like, that looks ace. I always wanted to run the ropes at a 6-sider, but
just so welcome. Yeah. Bradley Meyhem Brooks, professional wrestler. I've not had a professional wrestler on before. This is interesting. Like I love this. Like Grapzilla, the nickname.
that's it.
Is that something that's just evolved from your grappling skills, or is it just? It's a
Everyone-
pretty cool name. Like to
I was
be
just
fair.
trying to think of something to stand out a bit more, and I was sitting with the missus watching. Well, I was watching Godzilla. I was like, I'm the jiu-jitsu guy of this game. I'm the grappler. I was like, it's gonna work, isn't it? Grappling. So far, everyone I've said to, I'm grappler. They like it,
Yeah.
so it works for me.
I mean that you picture you just put up on your page recently is absolutely gold.
The one of me
Yeah.
choking out.
Yeah.
It's funny. This is my fiance. She does all my stuff. Everything
Oh,
that's
really?
drawn up
Aye.
in cartoons, she does everything.
Ah,
All
nice,
my
like-
pieces of art is literally just straight from her.
Because I was about to say, like, I was thinking, I mean, not saying that your missus isn't doing professional stuff, but I was like, it must be, like, you must be like, forking money out to give it to someone professional making this for you. But is it just like her that does like everything?
Just my images. Obviously, I have to get my gear from people, which it's not that much. Like, depends what you get, but
Yeah.
obviously, you got to look the part when you're in there. You want to stand out compared to everyone.
100%.
So-
Like, is it like a bit like I know how much gear costs for training and things. Is it the same? Is it quite a lot, or
A bit more.
like I don't imagine a set of wrestling boots is very cheap.
Well, mainly for comfort and just I use a lot of amateur wrestling boots under mine.
Okay.
And then I wear my kick pads, my knee pads, but I just prefer the sort of like the Nike amateur boots or the.
Do you
Adidas.
prefer the kind of plain look, or is the look is something that is going to evolve, or are you happy with your look as a wrestler?
Right now, I'm comfy with the look just because obviously so used to just doing training in spats or the shorts. I'm just so used to this right now, but I might eventually like dabble in the tights and trousers or
get
I don't
the
think
mask
I'll-
on.
I'll go for the
Mexican
lucha.
style.
I was gonna eventually invest in getting a hooded jacket with the Godzilla spikes down the back, down the spine or
be
something.
amazing.
but
Yeah,
You go for it. Like, that's fucking awesome.
do a bit of overtime to get that one.
Yeah. Why are you wanting all these hours? No reason.
Some weird shit coming in from Amazon that day, like.
Might not be available, depending on where you look on the internet. How did the name Meyhem Brooks come about? How did you come up with that? Is there any kind of relevance behind it, or is it just
Well, I was using my actual name to start with, but I didn't want to use it. Just wanted to use something else. And started off, I was thinking loads of different names. I need to use something pretty much just sounds like the tough guy MMA image, something good. And my favorite rapper, Meyhem Loren, who always kicks about with Action Bronson and all that stuff. I was like, I love the name Meyhem, obviously spelled differently than the way I was like, I can use it. And I was speaking to Daz Block, the wrestler, on the phone, and he was like, I just went past a pub, it was called Brooks and something. I was like, man, Brooks, like, that's the one. I was like, cheers, Daz, that'll do me. But that was it. And then just made the announcement. I'm no longer using my shoot name, just using Meyhem Brooks. That's how it goes by now.
And that's what you're sticking with as well, because
I'd
we
like to.
we know wrestlers change their names
Yeah,
a lot.
they do. JBL, John Bradshaw Latham? I mean, that's kind of the same thing, but
Yeah, there's been many connotations of many wrestlers. Like, I was trying to look up British wrestlers who've made it in the USA, kind of before we started this, because as I said, I'm not too up to date on wrestling.
Mhm.
I think there's been a lot that have went through NXT.
NXT UK, I think's opened it up for a lot of people from the UK now to get there.
Yeah, and what I'm noticing these days is it's not all 6'9" guys who weigh
No.
400 pounds anymore.
So diverse now compared to what it used to be.
Do you find that you don't exactly have a lot of 6'9", 400 pound guys in Scotland? Is there anyone like that on the circuit, or is it mostly guys your size?
Off the top of my head, there's tallest guy I came across is Colton Davis from down Glasgow way. I can't remember how tall he is exactly. It might be 6'5" or something. But that's the tallest guy I've actually came across. And I've been in the ring with Krieger. He made me look small, real small. Can't remember he's 6'2" or something, but just a lot bigger than me as well.
Just
But
a broad guy as well.
He's quite a big dude, yeah. But no, it is. You don't get the massive people like you used to. And to be fair, in
It's
my
not as much of
opinion,
a freak show anymore.
everyone looks a lot healthier now. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Aye. Wellness policies coming into that, well, especially in America, I think.
But it's everyone just looks so healthy now.
Yeah, and it's not like, as much as the result can be foretold and things, it's not a joke sport.
Yeah.
You know, you're still hurting yourself and things like that.
God, my first session when I went and took my first bump, I was like, oh, I've been chucked about on the mats all the time. I was like, this could be nothing. Took my first one, I was like, oh, I'm winded. I was like, I'm winded. But no, it's tough on the body.
And I think, like, I mean, like you're just saying, like, people, I think there's a period of when, like, you know, everyone starts watching wrestling as a kid, and then, like, some people go wonder which way, where they get told, oh, you know, it's like rehearsed, scripted, whatever you want to call it, and they're like, my whole childhood's been a lie, so I'm never watching that again. Whereas some, like, people keep on with it, if you know what I mean. But it's a problem I have when people kind of bring it up is they say it's not real. Well, it is real to me. Like, obviously, like, it is choreographed, but like the moves and everything, and people getting slammed through tables and that's all happening.
I know.
You know, like
what? How much goes in? How much do you choreograph a match? Like, you can't choreograph every single thing that goes down.
No, it's not. It is literally like
there's a lot of like speaking in the ring as you're going.
Don't want to give out the secrets, do I? Don't want to give out too much secrets, but it is just
because it's a bit like, I heard someone describe it as dancing almost.
Yeah, it's. Well, it depends how much time you got. There's been times where I've been backstage, I've been like, "Oh, your music's playing." It's like, "Oh, I haven't planned this," so it's just out there on the fly. And
Yeah.
to be fair, it's not as choreographed as everyone thinks it is.
No.
It's not at all. It's more of just, like you said, it's a dance. Just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's working against the flow of the other person, figuring out what they're doing.
Just
kind of
work together in there, work well and work safe.
do you get that kind of freedom to improvise and that in the moment and stuff?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that.
How did you first get into wrestling? Like, when was it you first started watching professional wrestling, and then was it something that just instantly clicked with you? Like, oh my god, this is amazing.
I've always wanted to do it. Like, obviously, you know me from MMA back in the day. That was
Mhm.
been watching wrestling as long as I can remember. Like it's all I've ever wanted to be it professional wrestling. There's nothing. I think I'm the
There's-
only guy up here that does it.
I
don't
can't
know
think of anyone else.
I don't know
No.
anyone else. And like MMA for me, it was just I can't do that, so I'll do this.
Yeah.
But I started off with boxing as well. That was the first thing I did because my dad, he was like boxing trainer in Elgin back in the day. Taught Aiden, well, not taught him, but obviously coached Aiden, Martin, Kev, all that back in the day. Then he gave it up. I think Aiden spoke about all the politics.
Well, we actually had Smarty on last week, and T actually says that you're a fair boxer yourself. Is that something that you would have continued if it hadn't been wrestling?
It's hard to say because I love the training side of it, but see, when it came to the competing, I was just my own worst enemy for my nerves. I always told myself, knockout, not good enough for this, not good enough for this. And to be fair, I was like that in my first wrestling match as well. Before I went out the curtain, I was nervous. Like, I don't know. Then after the first one, now I don't get them nerves and nothing anymore. But it's a hard one because obviously I wouldn't know if I would have came over my nerves if I didn't do this.
Yep.
I would have stuck at training, obviously, without a doubt. But it's a hard one to call. Like, if this doesn't work out for me, I never know. I might go back. It's
always there.
Exactly. It's
always
just
there.
just trying to sort of, I don't know, not pre-plan anything, but just going with it. Just now see where
You seem
everything
to
takes
me
me.
to be somebody who enjoys more the training and the routine side of things rather than the actual competing things.
I was like, when it came to the same again at SPG, I wasn't massively interested in going out there and fighting, getting a record and all that stuff. But I just enjoyed getting in there, getting the gloves on, sparring, and just doing my bit in there, then going home at night. That was enough for me.
Yeah.
And it benefited me in a way because got that whole background now. My whole wrestling style is based on everything I did before, like the grappling side, the jiu-jitsu, the amateur wrestling with Doug, all the slams that I've got now. Then obviously the strikes as well through Aiden's Thai boxing and kickboxing classes. It's just
awesome.
It's cool how like all those guys have managed to like benefit you in like your wrestling.
Yeah, they have
as
it.
well.
Like, I have got to obviously owe it to them as well because everything is pretty much what they taught me back in the day.
Because I think we mentioned with Doug, it's kind of funny how wrestling and MMA cross over so much. Like not just obviously
Hugely.
like Brock Lesnar going from one to another and many others that have done so, but there's very big similarities. Like I think we said you've got like boxing over here for like the press conference kind of stuff. It was all suit and tie. No commissioner can be out of a seat. MMA is like half and half. Like there's some structure, but people are allowed to go a bit over
And
the
a
top.
little bit of freedom.
And then,
It's like the same fan base in a way.
No, it is though. Like the amount of like having fighters on and that talk about having been wrestling. Like Aiden was a wrestling fan when he was younger, and that kind of led to him getting into MMA. It is crazy how like they
Do
cross
you
over all
think
the time.
everyone at some point in their youth is a wrestling fan because as a kid you think it's real? You know, I'm not saying like, well, you think everything's real. I'm not saying it isn't real, but you think everything you see on that screen is 100% real and happening. Do you think because of the excitement, it's a bit like a movie, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a bit like a movie, and it's a movie that happens every week, and there's something different happening every week. Do you think that it's a thing that it's like an excitement thing? That's why a lot of people get interested rather than actually enjoying the sport of wrestling. You know, it's the soap opera kind of side to it. Especially as a kid, you know, how many kids actually sit and watch and think, that's a full Nelson. Quite like that.
I think you appreciate it in different ways as you get older, don't you? Like, obviously, I watched it probably up until my early teens. Watched it every week. I'd be watching Raw, SmackDown. Just wouldn't not watch it, and just don't know what happened. Just stopped watching it for a long time when I first started training. I don't know how long I actually stopped. Must have been 4 or 5 years. Seen it was on Sky again. I was like, I'll just stick this on and have a look at it. Started watching. Oh, it's actually not too bad. Then discovered NXT, started watching the takeovers and all that. I was like, whoa, it was different compared to what it was when you grown up watching it. I was like, this is so different. Like, just fell in love with it all over again.
When did you what era did you kind of come into wrestling, like watching wise? Was it like Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression?
Started, obviously I was so young, but started watching it from the Attitude Era. Like oldest memory is literally Taker and Big Show walking down the ramp at SmackDown. That's the oldest memory.
Like the buried alive matches and stuff like that as well.
Some
like,
insane things like settling like the Inferno matches. Like, what
I mean,
the fuck was
some of
that
the
all
stuff, some of the stuff WWE that you could not do
Yeah,
today,
like-
it would just not be possible.
like fucking Katie Vick. That's
Yeah.
like, do you remember Katie Vick? As
Maybe
the
before my time. man.
so Kane and Triple H had a rivalry. Katie Vick
that's
was the,
not the video.
there
is
was
it?
a lady
Oh,
lying in the
gosh.
coffin, and Triple H has got a Kane mask on, and he's like shagging a dead
Seen-
body,
seen the
and
me-
you're
seen
like,
the
what
memes.
the fuck
Seen
is
the
going
memes of
on
it.
here?
Triple H has literally drugged his wife and they're getting married in a
Yeah,
car park
yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
Like, this
Oh,
is wild.
Fucking honestly, but it put bums on seats and it got
Oh,
people
yeah.
watching, you know.
Definitely.
And I just felt like over the next 10 years, it got so filtered down to
Mm.
just, I know they were going for this PG kind of thing, but it's like, you're probably losing half your fan base
Yeah.
by taking away.
It's hard to say though, because like when you watch it still nowadays, how many seats does Lesnar get when he comes back? How
Yeah,
many
true.
bums does he
Yeah.
get in a seat? Like all the old school
Exactly.
fans will see him go back and be like, I'm gonna watch it because you know he's just gonna go in there and ragdoll someone about like there's no tomorrow.
Is it Goldberg? That's
Yeah,
another one I
mhm.
see in it, still in it. Guy must be about 50.
Mhm.
Like, brilliant. But
Austin just came back for
Oh, yeah.
Aye,
Right.
Mania.
Kevin
Austin
Owens
just
was
fought.
it?
yeah, Austin just came
Jesus.
back against Kevin Owens and pulled his weight that whole match. He looked great.
that's
he-
unbelievable.
He was like, was it some neck injury that kind of forced him
His
to
knees,
retire?
he was on
yeah.
the braces.
Yeah, stunner in the whole McMahon family. Just to put some stress on him over time. But it was good though, wasn't it? Like
it
was,
really was. Like, yeah.
I would like to say that you knew it was a joke, but you probably didn't. Like I remember watching like Triple H bursting at Randy Orton's house on a sledgehammer and mess his whole house up, and I'm like thinking to myself, like really, I should be thinking, why are the police not being called here? But I'm like, no, this is all happening.
Like,
you know?
I remember things like there was a guy called DDP who literally stalked the Undertaker's wife.
I remember
And
that
it's
one.
like, why is nobody phoning the cops here? Like what's going on with this shit?
Oh,
I
You
think
know?
everyone just loves it. Like when you said about Triple H
Yeah.
burst of your Orton's house, sometimes you sometimes think like, I've always wanted to do that, but I
Yeah.
can't. But I gotta see it, so that's enough for me. I gotta
Man,
see it.
Triple
happen.
H is so awesome, getting to burst into people's houses and assault them.
Kind of going back to home wrestling, your wrestling. Is it just wrestling, or do you get any like backstage interaction with anyone? Do you get anything outside the ring, or is it just kind of shoot a promo, get a match?
For me, mainly just. Are you meaning for just like
Just in general, like say for your next match, is there going to be like any camera work between you and the guy that are wrestling each other, or is it just kind of straight into a match?
for me, it'll probably like at the most, it'll be a promo online. Just I've been still trying to earn my stripes in this. Obviously, me
Yeah.
staying so far up, everyone else is down that way. Like down in Glasgow, it's like everybody knows everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm still, in a way, I feel like I'm still the unknown guy.
You're still cutting your cloth though. It's, as you say, you're still new to it, and kind of there's
Mhm.
probably guys on there that have been on there a long time.
Mhm.
Wrestling in Elgin, how was that?
It's great.
Yeah.
I've always like just you always want to wrestle in your hometown, and to get the chance to do it, just
How did that come about? How did you get approached with that, or was it something that you seen was like I have to be on here?
I seen it and I reached out to the company. I was like, well, I'm the only guy from
Mhm.
here. It's like, is there any spots available? And message me back, yeah, get you on there. Got 2 matches in the same night. Got a Rumble and I got a Battle Royal and I got singles.
Brilliant.
It's just great.
Did they do like so they do battle royals at like local shows and stuff like that? Because
Yeah.
I always thought
Been
it'd
in
be
2
safe for, like
Rumbles.
yeah. But yeah, so that's awesome, man. But like, is there like we asked Smarty this last week because he main evented a boxing show in Elgin. Is there like a catch-22 with a lot of people get to see me compete, but at the same time can't fuck this up? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. It's hard to answer that one. So I just
It's good.
It's-
It's good seeing, as you say, like I'm going to keep going back to WWF
Yeah,
and
100%.
WWE, but like, do you remember when they used to announce guys in their hometown and things like
Mhm.
that, and how mental the crowd used to
Yeah,
be?
Mhm.
Like, I suppose it's a little bit like that. It's like, well, this is my fucking place.
Yeah.
well, I was a heel actually, so even better. I
like,
got to come
even
out.
better. That, I suppose that's something I never really touched on. Heel or
Babyface.
babyface. Like, what is your preference? Like,
Personally-
some guys love getting fucking booed.
I I've only done a couple. Well, pretty much one on a show as a heel, and I preferred being the heel.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, I am a face, but I don't know. I feel for my style, I can just be a lot meaner, a lot dirtier, just a lot grittier when I'm the heel. Like, I can lock them subs in a bit harder, land them strikes harder, just bully whoever's in front of me.
That's what you need. Like, it's fucking brilliant.
But like you were saying, like I remember, was it Edge? They were in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, wherever Edge is from. And like he went that heel that he started insulting his own crowd. And his own crowd were booing him. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this is savage.
He's another guy who's came back again. Edge is just tearing it up as well.
I swear he's been on like the brink of death from doing wrestling like
times
5
as well,
times.
yeah.
Jesus, man.
Like I've listened to a few, like I listen to Jericho's podcast quite a lot, and he has a lot of wrestlers on it. He has more guys than wrestlers on it, but and yeah, there's been a few guys that have been pretty close to being finishing, but I think a lot of that can also be written into a storyline. They can say, oh, they're close to death. The rest, and one more match could kill them.
One more match.
And then 3 months later, they're bursting out a door at WrestleMania and taking a guy out. Like,
everyone's just too busy going mental to think, wait a minute. But like, I feel like Scotland in general, just the country, it's got a unique love for pro wrestling. Like I definitely, I mean, obviously like America's such a big place, and it was kind of where pro wrestling to an extent was birthed. But like, I feel like all the kind of local promotions that we have, obviously we've got ICW, which is like the biggest in the country, and
on
stuff
WWE
like that
Network as well. They are so
yeah. I mean that's madness. Like, and the
and
crowds,
they sell out hydro shows and things like that as well.
Yeah.
The crowds come like it's filled out every single time. Like, it's. Do you? I mean, this I suppose is kind of a hypothetical question, but would you prefer like that kind of intimate setting where it's not as many people, it's kind of on top of you, or would you like that kind of big stadium type environment?
I think everyone wants to do the big stadium. It's just, I know it must be some feeling when you've got that many people watching you walk down the ramp and go out there and just do your thing. And the big stadium is, I think, what everyone wants. I know I want a big stadium at one point. Definitely.
Is that like part of your goals to like get to like the ICWs, go to those kind of promotions and just keep going as far as you can with it?
I'd love, my main goal in wrestling always has and still is, I'd be happy doing it for a living. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be real happy with that, because right now I feel like it's a real struggle for me just now to do it. I'm having to travel all the way down there for training. Don't get to do it as much as everyone else because they get their weeknights. I can only do the weekend, and the price it costs to go up and down the country all the time just to do it.
Yeah, especially with the cost of living crisis and shit like that now, the fuel.
Like, not tooting my own horn, but I feel like a lot of people, if they had to do what I did to do this, they wouldn't be doing it. Not me trying to put anyone else down or anything like that, but I don't see many other people doing like
it takes that level of commitment, man.
I was about to say, I feel like I am one of the most committed guys out there, and just, I don't know.
Well, there's a famous saying, isn't it? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Yeah,
exactly.
So it rings true, man. But you mentioned Doug, and we had him on here a few months ago, and he'd mentioned that you've I don't want to say seeked advice, but like when you were talking about moves and that, because obviously suplexes and stuff like that, they're very similar in both sports. Like, how obviously you've been weights with him like previous to all this. How's he like helped you kind of adapt your game in terms of helping you out with stuff like that? Quite
a lot. Like, really a lot, because obviously a lot of the stuff between the pro and the amateur wrestling, the same holds. It's real, like you said, it is really similar. But when I'm working with Doug, I'm saying to him, like, when we're training, like, let's try that again, but I want to try it from this hold, just see if I can make something work out of it. And then I feel like when I'm doing a lot of like certain holds and that, I feel like I can do this. Like, these people don't know this. Like, I don't know, it's just, bringing in the amateur side of it. A lot of people haven't seen or felt the sort of
set eyes on
it. It's just, I don't know how to answer it like in with the best words, but like, I do a lot of my, like I said, credit to Martin, Aiden, Kev, Doug as well. A lot of my ground game when I'm wrestling is from Doug, holding people down on the floor, the slams and that as well.
I think, like, I mean, that's another thing, that like the two different styles of wrestling, like pro wrestling and what would be the word? Is it collegiate wrestling? They call it in America.
Freestyle
wrestling. like there's a lot of wrestlers that have like won a gold medal at the Olympics, stuff like that. I think Kurt Angle won a gold
Kurt
medal.
Angle.
With
you
a
know.
broken freaking
Yeah, I
neck.
know, right? the biggest savage on the planet, and he's got he's got one of the best. What's your favorite walkout song from like back in the day, or even now from like wrestling that you watch? Because some of them are just
Some of them were banging, weren't they?
unreal. Like Kurt Angle's one was great. Just
I
'cause he
loved
could go heel or
the chicks singing in Shawn Michaels.
yeah.
I think I'm sweet.
Yeah.
I loved that stuff.
I
Like,
used to always bounce when the Hardy Boys tune came on.
Yeah,
That was a
oh,
fan
Do you know what? Like, I always remember as a kid absolutely shitting myself when Kane's fire would go off. Like, absolutely, like, just going insane because like that guy could do no wrong in my eyes. He was just an absolute savage. Loved him a bit.
Yeah.
Same as Undertaker. Like things would go dark and you'd be like, oh, someone's gonna get
someone's
fucked
gonna
up.
get
I think the
Bad.
entrances back then were just so much
Oh.
better. It's just, I don't know, you felt more like you're more just wanting to see, like
In
you're
the
more
fucking
interested in them,
moment.
like in the moment, like this the walkouts nowadays. I don't know, maybe I'm just comparing it too much, but see watching Stone Cold walk down a ramp,
Yeah.
it's just a different feel, isn't
Yeah,
it?
the
Yeah.
glass
The glass
glass
smash.
breaking, and you're like, shit's
Oh,
away,
it
go
was
fucking
fucking
down
in
like,
your face, man. Yeah.
Triple H as well, like. How can someone make spitting water out look so cool?
Yeah.
How can you do
Those
that?
people go, that's fucking biggin'. You know?
It's like when he spits on the front corner, like, give it to me.
And nobody watching this should lie to themselves. They all tried it at school one time
Yeah,
or
you all
another.
tried it in the bath and shit. I was like, I'm Triple H.
I still do it in the shower.
Hair back and stuff.
I mean, that was like one of the kind of brilliant kind of contradictions of wrestling is like they would have all these extreme storylines and stuff like that, and then they'd have the warning at the end, like, please don't try this at home. Like, you know, the moves and that stuff by professional. That never got listened to, by the
No.
way. Any trampoline in the local area, kids were suplexing, moonsaulting. You know what I mean? Like, no point to those messages, man.
No, God, no.
Oh, dear.
Fucking hell.
So, how many? Do you know how many promotions there are in total in Scotland, or is it just?
I couldn't name them off
Mhm.
the list of my head. The ones I've wrestled for,
Well, I've got Target Wrestling.
I was meant to get that. That was meant to be my comeback match after COVID, 26th of June against Shady Natras for, it was a tournament for their championship, but just COVID again ruined that. And
Pro 2 Championship.
getting
Wrestling?
my Pro 2 Wrestling,
Yeah.
getting my debut for them in 27th of August.
Nice.
So getting to go down there.
Have you got a match yet? Or
I've got an idea who it is, but
Yeah.
I don't know nothing exactly yet. Like anything can happen.
keep an eye out for the promos.
Yeah, man.
And I've also got Respect Pro Wrestling.
That's who I just recently wrestled for against what's called Thomas Daniels. Just had a match against him down in Glasgow area again.
Well, you watched the highlights. I watched
Yeah,
the
man.
highlights. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I was impressed. Like, it's. I feel there's more. You can hear literally everything going on in that match
Yeah,
because
man.
it's not this big ass arena, so you can hear how much effort's going into these fucking throws and
Mhm.
shit. How long do these matches go on for generally? Like 5-10 minutes?
Well, so probably about 8 to 12. Some matches will go 15. It's just normally I think it depends where you're on the card.
Yeah.
I've never went longer than a 12-minute match myself.
So the
Obviously,
kinda-
unless it's in the Rumble, then
it
that's
leads on to
different.
my next question. Like, I've rolled with you in jits. I've never seen you like half as exhausted as you look after these wrestling matches.
it's a different type of
Yeah.
cardio I need for this. Like I could do round after round on that mat when I was doing jits with you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously I was tired, but I think it's just like the whole momentum when you're in there, whole adrenaline. Once it's done, it's just left your body like, oh my God, because you are moving about so much in that wrestling ring.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take a lot out of you.
It looks like it.
The bumps, trying to catch your breath after you've just been hit with something like a suplex, you're like trying to breathe. It's not easy like everyone thinks it is. It's not.
I take it not all your bumps go spot on every time and
Try my best to, but obviously you do get some where you're like, didn't land that one as best as I could.
whinge or something like that. It takes yeah.
Mhm.
I can
Some of those are
imagine.
like brutal. Like if you look at people like broke their neck from like,
Absolutely, yeah. I think
pile drivers and stuff like that.
Brock,
Yeah.
I think it was Brock Lesnar that said he got 10 times more injuries from wrestling professional than he did ever in MMA. And I think Ken Shamrock was another one that said the same. So it just shows the difference. Like, what is a training routine for a professional wrestler?
Well, for me just now, obviously, I don't get as much as everyone else. So for me, first it's get up at 6 a.m, have a coffee, then drive for 4 hours. Get there, get my lunch.
Trains the mind.
Yeah. Get in there, train for another 3 hours or so, drive home again. But it's a lot of like, I do a lot of like body exercises for the warm-ups there.
Yeah.
Like there's loads of push-ups, all that sort of stuff. Like just a lot of body weight stuff. Get your warm-up, then
Does
you're
that
in there.
involve a lot of weight training and stuff as well?
Not as such when I'm training, like down at the, what's it called, down at the center. Obviously, every day I'm lifting weights in the gym for to look in shape and keep my body healthy for doing this. But more when I'm actually at the classes, it's just a lot of body weight stuff. Just like I said before, push-ups, burpees.
I think I've seen
tap
you out
jumps.
running a few times and things like that.
Yeah.
Cardio is obviously massive for these things.
You need to have good cardio for this.
Yeah.
Like, because you see some of the guys in there, you think, oh, he hasn't got cardio at all. See when they get in there, they're just going for it. I'm like,
Machines.
yeah, it's,
Mhm.
you don't judge a book by its cover in this sport. No way.
No, absolutely. When you think back to like guys, like I always thought of guys like, do you remember Vader back in the day?
Mhm.
Guy didn't look like, just looked like a big fat guy, but that guy could fucking move.
He could move, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Even
could,
like Grado in ICW and that, he's like
yeah.
backflipping off the top ropes and stuff. Kevin Owens. as
Kevin,
well.
I was about to say Kevin Owens is a great example of that. Like, do you see his match against Cena?
No.
The
Was it
United,
a few years ago, was
Yeah,
it?
it was a SummerSlam. There was 3 of them, but I remember the SummerSlam one when Cena had the United States belt, Owens had the NXT belt, and that was like the first time I actually watched Owens wrestle, and I was like, oh my God, who is this guy?
He's a big guy as well.
Then went back and watched his the match in Japan, him and Balor. It was just, this guy's amazing. Samoa Joe as well. He's got one of the best cardios I've ever seen in this sport. Just unreal how athletic that man is for his size. I
Yeah.
can't believe it.
And like, there's no other sport where that happens, if you know what I mean. There's no other
Not-
sport where I
Can't
see.
think of
Not really, no.
anything,
Because even like you have stuff like American football where the guys are quite big. Like you can tell that you can see that coming. You know what I mean? Even a defensive player, like there's a wall. You know. Where,
I guess in MMA, the heavyweight division,
Yeah.
you get guys like that, but it's
Yeah.
not the same athleticism, in my opinion.
It's not, because like if you're fucking getting slammed, but you might be a 300-pound guy, but you've also got another fucking 300-pound guy coming down on
Mhm.
top of you, and it's like, good luck to your rib cage after that, you know.
Mm.
And if you ain't built and you ain't built your body up to take that,
That's
then
another.
it's just
yeah.
gonna crush you and kill you.
Mhm.
like Big Show, Brock Lesnar suplex Big Show, and it collapsed the entire ring. Like, you know,
Yeah.
what's that, like 1,000 pounds perhaps? You know,
I always
going-
remember the one with Lesnar. He tried to moonsault and landed on his neck.
Yeah, that was against Angle, wasn't it? Maybe,
Yeah.
Well, he used to hit that, didn't he? And was it OPW? It was called when he was training. I think
Yeah,
that's what it was called. I'm pretty sure. He,
OVW, wasn't
OVW,
it?
that's
That
the
was
one.
one. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he used to hit a moonsault. Well, from the top rope. I'm pretty sure he
Fucking
did.
big guy for a moonsault.
No,
Yeah.
He's an athletic
Yeah,
freak.
man.
He is young.
Yeah,
You'll
it-
never get an athlete like Brock Lesnar again.
Is there anything like that in your arsenal?
Me. We'll bit more training under the belt, then we'll see if I can start pulling out those moves. I'll stick to the
I've got kind
plexus.
of like, so you've got Mayhem Brooks, this wrestler character you've built yourself. I know it probably doesn't happen as much locally. It's probably more your bigger promotions and American things. But if somebody came in and asked you to change your character and they wanted a certain direction for your character to go, but it meant pushing your career forward, would you do that, or are you quite happy to do your own independent thing and just stick with that?
I'd change easily.
Yeah.
If someone asked me to. I feel like you're more professional if you're willing to change yourself to better the image.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like the way I look at it, Kurt Angle, he's probably the best example for this. Like probably one of the best wrestlers ever. When you look at it, he can look stupid, he can look funny. When he was in ECW as a wrestling machine, he can look like a badass. He can do indie wrestling, he can do WWE wrestling.
He's been everywhere, that
He's-
dude, isn't he?
yeah.
Like someone like him, like when you seen him back in the 90s when the Stone Cold wearing the Yippee Ki hat and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you see him absolutely throwing Randy Orton about a one night stand. You think, how is this the same guy? How can you be so diverse in
Yeah.
different ways? So I'd if someone asked me to push my career forward, I'd easily
And would
change
that
for it.
include, like, you've seen some guys change their style of wrestling? Like, I look at The Undertaker, he's changed his style over.
The
he's-
Dead Man. And
The
then
Dead
New
Man was
American
different.
Badass
Was
and-
completely different to American Badass. Would your style have to keep with what you know, or would you be willing to change your style as well?
I'd be willing to change it, but in my preference, I'd prefer to keep my sort of wrestling style just because it's what I'm comfortable with. Done it for so long now.
That's what
like,
makes you look good.
That's
Yeah.
it, really. Yeah, like in my opinion, again, I might be talking out my arse, but I feel like every match I've had, I've watched it back. I can always hear there's a reaction when I'm doing stuff.
Mhm.
Every time I'm hearing a reaction from my matches, so I must be doing something right with my moveset and everything in there. My character, something's working. Just need to display it more, get more
Definitely.
shows out there. You know what I mean?
Do you take the, like in pro wrestling, do you take the crowd in more? I suppose it's probably a yes, because the crowd are more involved with pro wrestling. Like they're more, it's more interactive, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like they're
Mhm.
encouraged to get involved.
I think it's more recently I've been doing that because obviously when I first started, I was still in that sort of mentality where you block out the crowd
Mm-hmm.
in sort of combat sports. So everyone should say to me, more crowd work, more crowd work. And I feel like since after COVID, I've came back. I've tried to be more interactive and watch my matches back. I'm interacting more and more with the crowd. But to start with, I couldn't get into it. I
Yeah.
think it was just more of a nerves thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it was like, I'm just gonna get in there, just fight, and that'll do me. But everyone, you need to stand out, don't you? Like
Yeah,
the crowd work's
definitely.
the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. I think Aiden said something similar to us, didn't he? He there was a wrestling school in Aberdeen, and he went through, like, he was like well into wrestling. He was like, I'm just gonna get in there and compete in that. And then they did a class on like the talking and
Mic work,
and
it was.
and then he was like, I'm not fucking doing that. You know Aiden. He's not gonna like sugarcoat anything that he says
Yeah,
to
I
someone.
know,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, he was like, I'm not fucking doing that. And he was like, I just kind of lost the kind of will to do that. But like you said, it is like 50% in it. 50% the
Yeah.
athleticism and 50%
You
the.
need to sell your character. You need to let everyone know.
Yeah.
Like, say if I was wrestling, like, well, who do I want to wrestle? You know, Raw. Guy from, say if I want to wrestle, you know, Raw. I want to make everyone believe. I want to go in there and knock his head off.
Yeah, man.
I want everyone to, like, I want to sell that this is a match like me and him are butting heads of each other. We want to go in there and just throw each other about.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it is just interacting promos. You got to sell it all.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
you got to get everyone interested, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like if I just never did a promo in my life and kept coming up to ring, I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Who is it? Like maybe it worked more back in the day when you had Goldberg never talking on the mic and all that stuff.
That was kind of his character, though, wasn't it?
Maybe
Yeah.
it worked more back then, but I don't know, I
Mhm.
feel like it's different now. Everything's just evolving.
The
innit?
social media and that help. It's
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. I feel for me as well, because I keep saying it, I'm so out of the distance for everyone else. That's the best way for me to let everyone know I'm here, who I am.
You just on Facebook? You got Twitter? or anything?
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Is
You want to
all
plug your
of it.
Twitter and Facebook?
Just PW Mayhem Brooks. Just
We'll have a link down in the description as well.
Mhm.
I knew I'd have to say that. I started YouTube. I'm not going to go be this cringy ass. Here's me tasing
James
rat.
English.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, we'll get trademarked and said boom Ron, won't we? But anyway,
But you see all my fancy artwork on there.
Okay, well, kind of. I'm going to lower the tone and we'll go back to COVID.
Mhm.
How did that affect your preparation? Because I know I've got in here. I know you've started your training much before this, but you actually started in ring in 2019.
Yeah, 5th of July was my debut, 2019. Then I had another one in 2019. I think my last match before COVID was in January, February 2020.
Okay.
Then after that, there was just nothing. Trying so hard to like just reach out to people and get stuff. Was meant to get the Target show 26th of June. I was like, oh, even better. First match back. I'm going down to England, wrestle Carlisle, big company. That got ruined again. Then I must have been out of action for a year and a half. Like I was still trying to get down and train as much as I possibly could, but I feel like COVID as well was just sort of like losing the sort of energy to do it. It was like, is it going to come back? Am I going to get back in there
It's
then?
weird. We've heard that for so many people. It's like,
because it literally, I mean, I suppose everyone's tired of the whole kind of dramatic thing of it, but it stopped the world, right? Especially in the 2021 where no one could do
I think
anything.
it's just amazing to hear from like people who've athletically professional in their
Yeah.
life, how it's affected them, because like you're not the only person to say they were close to just packing
No.
it in and just thinking,
Mhm.
fuck it. Smarty was another one. He was like put on 3 stone, he said.
I was the same. I just
Yeah.
got so out of shape.
Did it affect, I suppose it's a bit of an underhanded and stupid question, but how was your mental health during this? Is it, it's not because of lockdown, I mean, like not getting to wrestle, is that?
I feel like it affected me a little bit. There was a few like times I was down in the dumps, like just really, like, because I feel like I was getting a good run at it before this all happened. Can't remember how many I was on a good, for myself anyway, for first starting out, getting in there from the debut. I was got on a couple of companies and that, and then it just all sort of disappeared. And I was like, oh, is it gonna come? Am I gonna get this all back? Am I get all these bookings back I was promised? And then it just started, like, it did start kicking me in the balls a bit. I was like, it was really affecting me. Not really affecting me, but it got to the point wrestling wise where I was like, am I going to go back? I don't know. Am I just going to just give up?
Not even wrestling, watching the TV or nothing. So,
Well, even because WrestleMania still went ahead during the 2021, but it was kind of a hard watch because they had the whole people on TV screens in the background.
I did see something about that. Yeah,
Guy in the
Just
Thunderdome watching that. I was like, watching that, I was just, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same
yeah,
to me.
it took something away from it, didn't it?
The crowd's important, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it is.
They
it's
are
a massive part of
that's
it.
what makes the wrestling, in my opinion.
At the end of the day,
like,
we're all going out to entertain them.
Yeah.
what is it? They call it a pop. Yeah, and it's, you know, that's what is your business at the end of the day. It's entertainment,
isn't it?
You know,
Like,
and if you ain't got that crowd there with all these monitors watching, you can't hear people going screaming
Not
and
at all,
going mental. You can't see all the little kids with masks on and signs and
Yeah.
you know. Do you remember some?
fingers,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember some of the signs back in the day though?
Oh my
God, damn!
thought the
Like,
storylines were
They must have to
sad.
check them things before they go out now.
Yeah.
Some of them signs, I was like, wow.
Oh, they used to have people would come in from the crowd as well. Like I remember it was what I think it was like Cena got banned from WWE or something, so he bought tickets as a fan. And he came in and like laid the fucking Wade Barrett and all that in the middle of the ring, you know, like they had like the more recent ones like the Shield and stuff like that. Their entrance would come
For the
out from the
Belgian.
top. Yeah, I think one of them's in AEW now, is it?
John Moxley.
John Moxley,
Yeah.
originally Dean Ambrose. I think John Moxley is his actual name though, I believe. Yeah,
That's what it was before he came to
Yeah.
WWE as well, when he was in, was it CZW,
Mhm.
Combat Zone Wrestling. Yeah, Moxley there as well, I'm pretty sure.
I heard you mention ECW One Night Stand, and I actually, do you know what? In preparation for this, I watched a few wrestling pay-per-views on WWE because I used to be mad into it, and I still am a filthy casual, I suppose you would call myself.
quite
Like,
right. Like,
you know, I'll watch a WrestleMania here and there, but I remember like because Paul Heyman, as he likes to call himself, like he just pops up everywhere, right? Like
Yeah.
when he's in WWE one minute, he's trying to fuck them over the next time. But Rob Van Dam was my favorite wrestler at the
I
time.
had a soft spot for Van Damme as well, yeah.
And then like they had all these guys, like people I'd never seen before, because I kind of got into wrestling like early 2000s. So I think ECW like ended in the 90s, and then
97 when I started
and
watching.
they brought it back. So then they had like Sandman and Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, and they're like, wait until you see what all these guys are doing. And then there's like Mick Foley and Edge, barbed wire tables,
Yeah.
like C4.
Yeah,
And I was like, what is
fucking
going
right.
on here? But that was great. And it wasn't your classic WWE pay-per-view because it was a really, really closed atmosphere.
Yeah.
And the crowd was involved. Like
it was in
when
New York
C-
as well, wasn't it?
yeah.
It's a different type of crowd that way when you watch
Was that
it.
the one where we're all chanting at Cena?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Cena
Oh,
wins
there was-
We Riot and
How
stuff
many was
like
it? It was
that.
like there was a couple of them. It was One Night Stand 2005, 2006, 2007. Cena was that was against Van Damme. The one you
Yeah.
said, yeah, the 2006 one for the belt. Yeah, that was what a pop Van Damme got when he got that belt.
And the hate that Cena got, I remember, like, because the crowd is literally, you know how like if you see people walk out of Wembley and boxing, the crowd are quite on top of them, but they've got like
Mhm.
7 security guards are like, stand back, sir. But like they had nothing like that. He's just carrying this belt. There's people shouting in his face and everything. I was like, this is proper intense. Like they've went for this.
Throwing a t-shirt would get it thrown back.
Yeah, I know. It was toilet roll and like, oh, it was crazy.
If that happened to me, I'd be like,
Yeah,
how dare you?
Is there any hardcore wrestling in the UK?
Well, I don't know if you've seen on the news the recent death match that happened down.
Oh,
Glasgow
no,
over
no.
there.
No, never heard about that.
Just it was really unsafe and unnecessary in front of a family show. It's more a lot of family shows this way. I think the closer you get to like sort of your hardcore shows and not ICW, but when you see them on a family show and that sort of stuff, it doesn't. Kids don't need to see people bleeding all over the place and that. Do they? Like obviously we all grew up watching that in Attitude Era, but
different perspective.
It's more mature and evolved now, isn't it?
Yeah. You want to look after your body these days. You don't want to put it through hell. Like,
yeah.
And that's probably why you're seeing a lot of these wrestlers like Edge and that coming back, because they're not having to throw themselves through fucking ladders and tables anymore. It's more wrestling.
You noticed every ladder match, Edge was in it pretty much.
It was the one where like I remember watching you had Jeff Hardy lying on a fucking ladder and Edge literally goes through the ladder with Jeff and the fucking ladder snaps and it's like, that's a fucking metal ladder, man. It's like that's no joke.
Even when like they'd have the head in between the chairs, you mind that?
Yeah.
And to be fair, Vince did it as well.
Well,
it wasn't like he was just sending people out there.
We were actually speaking before you came in, and it says the last time I watched wrestling, I remember Donald Trump shaving Vince McMahon's head.
I watched that on the live. That was great.
I remember that. I was like, right, okay, this is just getting too much for me now.
Lashley versus Umaga. That was a good one.
That was crazy, bad. Like
I've never seen a more built dude than Bobby Lashley.
Oh my god,
looks great as well. Still looks amazing.
He done MMA for a while as well.
Decent record actually as well.
Yeah,
wasn't that
they were
bad.
saying that they were going to try and get him and Brock in like a super fight in Bellator. And I was like,
my god,
do we want someone to die here?
Did you see the rumors of the super fight they want to do Fader versus Lesnar and Bare Knuckle FC?
In Bare Knuckle?
In Bare Knuckle Boxing FC, Fader versus Lesnar.
You saw that's just like
go for a coffee, guys.
I'm not gonna lie though, I paid to watch that.
Oh,
I would pay so much money to see them two.
Do you enjoy these freak shows like McGregor, Mayweather? Because we were speaking about this
Logan
last
Paul,
week.
Mayweather.
That ain't a fucking freak show.
I think I more enjoyed the McGregor Mayweather one for the reaction of everyone who only ever watched Conor McGregor.
Well,
because everyone's like, he's gonna smash me. I was like,
is he? This could be our
is he?
second person from a boxing perspective. You knew what was going to happen in that fight.
Mayweather was going to finish him. Everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he hit more punches than anyone else did." But I was like, "Did you see Mayweather?"
Yeah,
he wasn't trying.
He was smiling. There wasn't a point in that fight that Floyd Mayweather wasn't in control. Right?
You've seen a difference, like toying with him for about 6 rounds, and all of a sudden, before the finish, it just turned it up a level. McGregor was like, "What? Where
Anyone
am I?"
who'd been watching Mayweather for the previous 5 to 10 years knew exactly what was going to happen, and he just started hunting him down after 5 or 6 rounds.
Even just like watching Conor, right? Because in MMA, it's like after the 8th minute, you hear and you're like, "Oh dear," you know what I mean? Like the battery just goes like that. And like obviously he's an elite athlete, and I'm not saying that he's not fit or whatever, but it's something that continuously happened in the Diaz fights and obviously Habib.
Yeah, I think also like McGregor, we spoke about this before, has got so much going on outside of the sport now.
He doesn't like before when he was winning the belts and that, he was fighting because he had to.
Yeah.
Now he doesn't need, you can see he doesn't need to do it.
So there's no, what's the word?
They always have that cliche one, like the silk sheets, getting out of bed and that, the Marvin Hagler quote.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. There's like the motivation to, the hunger for it.
It just goes.
Yeah,
it does.
He doesn't need to be in there anymore.
Who's going to get punched in the face for $3 million when he's making $10 million a year off whiskey?
Yeah. And buying virtual estates in Ireland.
It's just, it's different. There's different animals in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, he was an animal.
Yeah.
When he first got in there, he was the real deal. But it's just
unfair play. He was one of the first ones, I think. I mean, obviously we've got to talk a bit about CLP Sonnen as well, because I think he was the OG of had a wrestling heel in mixed martial arts.
Anderson Silva,
you absolutely suck.
He tried to feed a carrot to a bus.
Yeah.
I don't want to bend over.
Brothers. Yeah, mind that.
Bend over Brazil and they'll take your wallet. He was the OG. Did you see his recent ones against Tito?
Oh my god, so brutal. Like,
some of them was like,
because like Tito's wife was like an adult film star, and it was something to do with like, Tito had said that Chael makes money with his mouth, and he was like, the only one that makes money with their mouth is Tito's ex-wife, and I was like, Jesus, I was like, bring the heat, why don't you?
I was on Facebook the other day, and it popped up him and Vandersley Silva fighting each other on an ultimate fight.
I can't put you close.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Just Chuck Vanderlei down and just in the middle of the Ultimate Fighter gym.
Is there anyone in obviously we've got Conor McGregor, but is there anyone in MMA just now you think would be perfect for wrestling?
There's a few when you think about it. Obviously, Rousey's came in about it, but
Yeah. I think someone like Ngannou. Can you imagine getting him involved in the WWE?
I get Paul Heyman
Well, we
next
had,
to him.
we
yeah.
had Tyson Fury in WWE.
Oh, yeah,
ago.
against
he did the Saudi show.
Yeah, against
Him against Strowman.
Braun Strowman, yeah.
I've never seen that.
Did you not see
not
that?
see that? No.
No.
He sat up like Taker at the end of the
The troll in Tyson Fury is so great. Like,
great.
I love that side to him, man.
There is some people that I'd like to see in obviously MMA, the WWE, that I think it could work. Like obviously back in the day, there was a lot of people doing it. Like
Yeah.
obviously Tank Abbott, you had him doing both. Shamrock, Severn. There was quite a big crossover back then, but nowadays it's I don't know.
Everyone's so MMA based these days.
Yeah,
And
it
then-
is.
MMA like was just. I mean, it still is brutal now. Don't get me wrong, but like in the 90s, it was like you had Vitor Belfort kicking Vanderlei in the head with shoes on, and shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you had these guys that
Love
were
it.
all like 300 pounds. Might have had a dose of the Jack scene that we've talked about before. You know what I mean? Like it was, so it was kind of easier to transition, I suppose. But
Look at Vitor Belfort's record after USADA came in.
yeah,
You've seen the photo of him with TRT next to each other. It's like drops like that and everything.
and then like
God.
we spoke about the whole Mayweather McGregor thing opening a door just to God knows what they could set up possible, and like that's one of the things that I seen. Vitor was boxing Evander Holyfield, and I don't know if anyone like that
didn't see
should
it.
not have happened.
That's-
Like it was actually hard. Like Evander Holyfield is almost 60, I believe.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it
Oh
is
my
funny
God.
to an extent, but it's not.
Like everyone's like, oh well, he should know. He's the experienced boxer. I was like, yeah, but when you're nearly 60 years
Yeah.
old, it's
You've
the body
got to
wears
be
out,
safe
doesn't
from
it?
yourself sometimes. Yeah,
You
for
see,
sure.
Anderson Silva's jumped over the boxing now.
And he's absolutely
He's
killing
doing
it.
great.
Yeah, he's smashing it.
He
like,
beat
yeah.
Chavez Jr.
yeah.
World champion at one point, and then fought
Man,
Tito
like-
Ortiz, which makes no
Now he's
sense.
trying to fight
afterward,
Jake
but
Paul.
yeah,
But do you know what? I've always like see these guys that are MMA based. I've always thought like, is there not just a temptation to throw a head kick? It's so trained into you with that muscle memory. Like you're like going to throw a head kick, and even a guy coming into you, you're automatically going to grapple and things like that. You know,
Canelo went for the takedown in his last punch. You see that? Had him up on his shoulder.
Oh, fucking hell!
I'm surprised he didn't pull one of those Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart screw jobs in that fight, to be honest.
There's been a couple of those, and you see in the box. I remember Miguel Cotto picked up Zab Judah and just slammed him down.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a big one as well.
Mhm.
I remember he got absolutely battered by a guy called Antonio Margarito. I think
Antonio
his name was.
Margarito.
And then
That's
it
when he
was
had the
blocks in his
gloves.
gloves.
Yeah, yeah.
And Shane Mosley's guy was like, "Go open your gloves up," and he was like, "No." It's like,
Then
why
the-
not? It was blocks fall out.
Then the rematch happened and then
Smashed
just,
him.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of get back to wrestling a little bit. I've not really understood how like the NXT works. It always seemed to me like it was basically he went for tryouts with NXT,
Mhm.
and is that still the case with like the UK and things like that? Could you turn up to one of their training camps and say, "Look, I think I've got what it takes"?
I think it's more invitational than
Yep.
you can't just show up. But
Is there talent scouts going about local shows and things like that, or?
I'm just now because I'm still so new to it and still trying to find my way. I'm not seeing it too much myself, but there is people I've trained with that on NXT UK. People
Yeah.
that have been in the same gym as me. I've trained with. They're making it there. A lot of people that I used to train with ICW. I think probably to get to NXT UK, you've got to like be scouted through all your bigger independent shows. A lot of the
Yeah.
ones I might be completely wrong because it's never happened to me. But like obviously you see all your Progress Wrestling, your ICW, all that's on the WWE network. So I don't know if it's scouted through the network or do they go to the show themselves. To me, I'm so unsure about it. But
These scouts got to be watching everything.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they'll be watching. If it's on the network, I'm guessing someone's going to be watching every single one of those independent shows is on there.
Yeah.
And I
You know what I
think WWE were trailblazers in the sense of expanding, like scouting for combat sports in a way. Like you see the UFC kind of couple their model with like the PIs and stuff that they're putting around the world
Yeah.
now and
Yeah.
stuff, you know. So, and obviously the WWE network, you've got stuff like Fight Pass, DAZN, that you know. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something that broke barriers down, or was groundbreaking rather, I should say.
That's like AEW. They're on Fight TV as well. Then plus you'll get all your Rising and that stuff on there too. So yeah, it is they like you said, I think they are the trailblazers for it with that network.
Who is?
I've got a burning question, and I've literally, you know what I'm going to
Oh
ask.
god, here we go.
You broke someone's jaw with a roundhouse kick.
Yeah,
Did you talk us through that one?
Yeah, it was. Well, were you there for that one?
I wasn't there on the day, but I was training with you guys at this point.
Yeah, you were training with us at the time because remember it was pretty much just the Interclub, wasn't it? Between
it
us
was Fight Team on the day. Yeah,
it was just Fight Team, Interclub, SBG, Inverness guys doing hard sparring with the Murray guys, and me and Dave McCabe sparring away, just laying into each other, but nothing like dangerous. Not actually trying to knock each other out. And when you look at the video, you sort of see me dodge a head kick. Looked at the clock, and I'm pretty sure I remember it was like 4 or 5 seconds left on it. I was like, I'll just throw a spinning. I've never done this before. I'll throw a spinning head kick. And I wasn't even looking. I just felt on my foot. I was like,
oh,
I hit him. Then I turned around. He was on the floor. I was like, I really hit him. I was like, oh my God, that's my highlight reel. I'm never going to do that again in my life. Nothing against Dave, but like, it was probably the best shot I've ever thrown in my life. Yeah, I still got the video on my phone. I still like just when I'm sitting there on my lunch before, I'm like, I'm just gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
Hear the sound of the. The worst thing was though, Martin got in the way. When you watch the video, Martin just walks right across it. I'm like, what are you doing?
Photobomb in the big moment.
Just see this in his fight promos or
Yeah.
something like that.
That's when you hear everyone after the kick. Oh!
Was there that kind of reaction when it happened? Did everyone, or was it just silence? Like
Everyone was like, whoa. I was sort of like, my foot hurts a bit.
Because I remember it got posted into the group, and I'm just like, oh fuck, you just got fucked up there, like, and then because at the time there was like a lot of like guys would like posting videos of fights that happened in the UFC at the weekend, like a knockout. Martin would maybe, oh look at this guy's wrestling in this fight. That's something we've done in class this week. So pops up, and then it's, all of a sudden you're smashing,
Knocking out training partners.
knocking out Dave and breaking his fucking jaw, mate. It was like, whoa.
I know.
But Aiden says you felt kind of bad for that.
Yeah, I did. I felt you don't want to injure a training
No,
partner.
exactly, man.
Obviously, if it was anyone else, I'd be jumping for the roof. Like, yes, did you see that? But when it's like, you want to be like, that was so good, but at the same time, like, oh, I just wish it wasn't him.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you want to celebrate. You're like, oh, that was such a good shot, but wow, why was it you?
Yeah. But it had to be somewhere.
It did. Is there anyone in Scottish wrestling you'd love to have a match with?
Oh, there's a good few. You know,
Yeah.
Raw's one of the main ones I want to be in there with. Back and forth with him. Still Malone, Andy Wilde. I'd love to get a shot against him. I'd like to wrestle Luke King Sharp. So many people in the scene I want to get in there with.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Is that because you feel you'd produce a good match, or do you think it'd just be a great experience for you to wrestle that guy?
Much and such, like both really. Like a few of them guys on that list, like I look at like Raw especially, brown belt and judo, my background as well. Just feel like him and my styles would just clash so well in a
Just
match.
be a roll, wouldn't it?
It's a match. That's a match that I really, really want against him. Really great mates with him as well.
Yeah.
But that's one of the main ones, yeah. But like I said, Stone Malone, Andy Wilde, Luke King Sharp. I got to wrestle Krieger back a day, but I'd love to do it again. Because obviously I've came on a lot more since that first match I had with him. So just more experience levels again. Daz Black, that's another one I want to get in there with. Ian Skinner. I don't know, were you training the same time he was up here?
Name doesn't ring a bell to
Sean-
me. No.
Cut his name of him at all.
Yes, I do.
Ian
Yeah.
Skinner, that's him. He was that's another one I want to get in there with. He was the one actually that got me into it. Because remember he was training with us doing jiu-jitsu for a while.
I'm shit with names, but I'm really good with faces. I'm like, oh, I know your face from somewhere. But yeah.
I remember I was good mates with him up here. Had great training session with him in the jiu-jitsu, MMA. And I seen his because he went away for a while. I was like, Sean must have just packed it in. Moved down that way. And I remember seeing his social that he'd had his pro debut, and I was like, oh, so you can't actually do that here. It can't happen. And I messaged him, I was like, when'd you do that? Told me where the gym was, and then following Sunday, I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then just from there, fell in love with it after the first session.
Good.
So
Yeah.
owe it to him as well, I guess.
That'd be a bit surreal if you end up having a match against each other.
Yeah.
Because
The guy that got me into it, yeah.
That'd be awesome. Like,
Mhm.
It'd be like full circle moment,
And
wouldn't it?
it's another one again. He's got sort of the background as well. So
Yep.
styles again just would work great.
it does. Is there anyone? I know you're kind of the only guy from Elgin. Is there anyone Inverness, Aberdeen based?
I don't think there's anyone in Inverness based. I know obviously WrestleZone in Aberdeen.
Yep.
I know there's I've not really seen too many guys from that, just because obviously, like again, I don't get out there as much as everyone else does. The last Respect show was on. There was guys from Aberdeen. I can't even remember the names now. I was so focused on myself getting ready for it. To be fair,
Quite right.
I remember it was Bruiser Brad Evans. He was there. I've definitely got his name right, but yeah, it was a few guys from Aberdeen on that show as well.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Good.
it's just
Well,
good to see it's so all over Scotland in a
We
way.
do have to point out you work full time around doing all this, whatever.
Yeah,
So it's not like
Mhm.
you have a lot of time to keep,
no,
as well as the traveling. You have work on top. So
yeah,
that is a massive
being
commitment.
a joiner. Yeah, you just non-stop work as well during the week.
Exactly. So even if it was a case of having something local that you could go to during the week, it's like, right, well, I still got to fit in work as well. You know, it's not like I can commit to that 100%. You've maybe got guys who are doing, like, we look at people like Kev. Kev's got a job which he can base his training around.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a few guys. Doug's got a job he can
Doug's the
base his
same,
training around. It's not the same for yourself.
I guess not, but if it did, well, I guess
If the
it did
money
happen-
started coming in,
if the money started coming in, I could obviously commit to it more, but I don't know, because there's no one up here, is there? Like I said
No.
before, like if it was to happen up here, who would train it?
yeah.
And I think like you can be a trailblazer in that sense. If you look at the MMA side of things, like Aiden, Kev, Doug, and Martin, they were self-taught to begin with,
Yeah.
and now because
Yeah.
of what they've went on to do, there's a whole
There's a whole
place for
yeah.
people to go and train and stuff
And,
like that.
and
you
look
know?
what they're doing.
Yeah.
Championships left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not just a load of random guys like, yeah, I do a bit of MMA. Like, no, it's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's
There's hundreds of guys that go to that gym and they've got a really solid foundation now because
Mhm.
of these guys
Exactly.
who are putting in the hours, you know.
Me, I'm the same. I've got my
Yeah.
confidence and everything through that place. Like
Yeah.
that was the foundation of me.
Yes.
It was like,
You've had partners throughout the past, training partners. Doug, who spoke about, Finn, right, is another one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see much of Finn these days.
try and keep in touch with him as much as I can, but
he's another
he's
guy.
all over the
He's
place.
Still on the wrestling scene himself, but he's kind of doing the same as Doug, amateur stuff.
Mhm.
Do you get much chance to roll about, or
Recently I had a good wrestle with Doug again, but
Yeah.
it's just trying to fit it all in.
Yep.
Obviously, I'm focusing so much on, like, I'm training every day. Obviously, I'm not doing the same as all these guys do down the road for wrestling, but obviously, I'll get as much as I can. And like shadow boxing, I'm doing shadow wrestling a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And then obviously, I'm in the gym. I'm up at 5 o'clock every day, session before work,
Yep.
do my job, come home.
a lot of shooting and sprawling and
Yeah, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Like then come home. Yeah, shadow box, shadow wrestle, stretch, all that thing.
Yep.
I'm flat out of it. Like people.
do you have a finishing move?
Yeah, man.
What is your finishing move?
The rear naked choke, but obviously RNC. I'm changing it to the RNZ, the rear naked Zilla.
I like that. That's amazing, man.
RNZ.
Is it? Have you just got the one finisher, or are you working on something else?
I
'Cause
did
you-
hit an angle slam before.
Fucking hell!
Was hitting
Good
an
luck
angle.
to that guy. Like,
Was hitting angle slams before, but I feel like the choke suits me more just from my background.
yeah,
Grabzilla, but yeah.
it looks awesome as well because there's a good action picture on your page on Facebook of you
Mhm.
on a guy's back, and it's fucking awesome.
Mhm.
Like, and
And also because I'm such a big Wu-Tang clown, if I can just shout protect your neck when I've got around.
fucking love that. Oh my
because a lot
god!
of wrestlers they have like two finishing moves. There's one for like submission, one for the pin usually. Isn't there?
Yeah,
Are you someone obviously that probably prefers a submission over a pin?
I prefer the submission myself because when you've been at rear naked yourself, just you can make it look so dirty, can't you? Especially when you're wrenching it and you just.
Is it just the rear naked, or have you got kimuras and things in your
I'll
game?
throw all the subs that I know
Yeah.
in there. I'll hit my arm bars, I'll hit kimuras, I'll go for the leg locks and everything. I'll go as much as I can, but the finisher is the
It
rear
must
naked.
give you quite a good solid base knowing how to fucking omoplata a guy and things like that.
I remember
Going-
my last match, got hit like a judo takedown, jumped into Kezakatami, switched over, got hold of the arm, forward rolled, and then landed into a crippler crossface. I was like, yes. I was like, that was pretty smooth.
Guys like, how do I get out of this?
That's one of the things I love about it as well, is just can transition so much submissions, make them look so nice and smooth with all
Yeah.
these other holds and just
Is that
everything.
like important to you, not just like performing the move, but making it look good?
100%, yeah. I want all my stuff to look great, feel great. Just, I don't know. I think I'm more like when it comes to the wrestling side of it, I want it all to look like when I watch a wrestling match. For me, I go back and watch like Angle and all that stuff, and I'm just watching the takedowns, all the subs, like American Alpha again. Have you ever seen them on NXT? I don't know if you still watch or that.
No.
I just love watching sort of the amateur based people do it on WWE. Like they just signed Gable Stevenson as well. So I know he's going to do great there after winning, what was he, the 110 kg gold medalist?
Do
in
you know,
Olympics.
like,
Oh yeah,
my eldest
in
son
America,
got into
yeah.
wrestling about 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, funny story. And it was round about the time Finn Balor had just joined the WWE. I remember that. And I remember him turning around to me one day and going, "Oh, I've got a new favorite wrestler, Dad." And who's that? It's Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm like, "What? The guy used to play for Celtic? What the fuck? What the fuck's he doing in the WWF?"
Like Nakamura, that's another one. Vale Tudo. Like,
Yeah.
he was competing in Vale Tudo before he did pro wrestling as well. Like so many people these days have got a background now. When you look
New
at them.
Japan pro wrestling is huge in Japan, isn't it? It's like,
yeah.
and it's always been, because like we've spoke about this before on the podcast. Like I always remember Pride Days, and it was always it wasn't so much about the fight. It was a spectacle, and
Yeah.
It was such a show, wasn't it?
it was a
tournament
show.
and everything. Yeah.
The wrestling's like that as well in Japan.
Mhm.
It's massively about the spectacle, not so much about the wrestling. That going forward in your career, if it becomes more about the show than the wrestling, I know you're going to do what you can to get where you want to go,
Mhm.
but is that not something that's going to be, after all the time you spent getting yourself fit and working your trade, and it's like, right, so you want me to put on this fucking costume and do this thing and come out to this music? Did that not like kind of piss you a little bit?
It's all professionalism, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, you keep
you
going
gotta-
back to that, and that's kind of professional in itself, saying that.
the way I look at it, like, if you're not willing to do that, then you're not committed to it.
Yeah.
Like, if I got a chance, like, say Vince, it's never gonna have Vince McMahon phones up. Hello, Mayhem. I want you to come down the ring in a little dress and get pinned in 10 seconds. But, yeah, all right.
What color of dress?
I was going to ask if there was a line, but clearly not.
Like, you got to take every whatever you're given.
Yeah, whatever opportunity you can get, right?
Like, if you want to be serious in the sport, pro wrestling, if you're there to take it seriously, then like you're not gonna take yourself too seriously. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like, it's all part of the show at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And, like,
Obviously, everyone wants to look like the big badass.
Yeah,
like, I'm the
yeah.
toughest guy here. I know. I do. I think that myself when I'm going out there. I think I want to look like the hardest guy
You've
in the
got
ring.
to present yourself like that though, because
Yeah.
that is your character. You know, it's if you're not, nobody's going to buy into that, because that's what it's about. Have you been to WWE shows yourself and things like that?
Yeah. Been Raw, NXT.
How's the
ICW.
level seeing that live? Because you can only see so much on the television. It's like when you go to watch MMA live compared to watching it on the television, it's totally different.
Yeah.
Boxing live to boxing on television is totally different. How is that seeing the guys that are at top of their game in front of you? Was it kind of amazement or?
Amazement, and at the same time, it's it like pushes you to think, I really want to do this.
Yep.
Like, you look at there and it's just, it really bigs you up in a way. Like, when you're doing it yourself, looking at it and think, oh, I just really want to be in there. And then you see these guys do it and you think, they all started off the same as I did at the end of the day, didn't they? We're all just
Unless
normal
you're
guys
like
at the
Great
start.
Khali or
Unless you're
something.
Great Khali wrestling tigers over in India, man.
Or even like, Brock Lesnar's got like Vince McMahon privileges. He doesn't have to speak.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman does all that for him and that. But you work your way up there.
He's
though.
on the mic now. He was on the mic before his last match, though.
Oh, was he?
Got rid of Heyman.
Oh, Heyman's chucked again, is he?
Heyman's Reigns now. You're not seeing the whole bloodline thing.
no,
Reigns
man.
has got both the belts. Usos have got both the tag belts.
Heyman's a fucking man. Like,
Yeah.
I
Heyman
reckon he should shift into MMA and just like take like Hamzat or something like that and be like, this is my Hamzat.
Paul Heyman's turned Russian now.
This is my brother Heyman.
Just set him
Well,
on to guys.
Darren Till's Hazmat's Heyman, isn't he?
That picture of them's like iconic. Of like him sitting on the cage and like, I mean, that fight was absolutely savage. Well, wasn't it? Him and Burns. I mean,
Aye.
That was fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, I fucking.
I was watching it with the missus on the couch and I would go, wow. She's like got the blanket on trying to say, what are you doing? I was getting so excited for that.
It's just
I had a
it's
10
so.
that, so I was literally.
It showed he wasn't. He is human.
Yeah,
after
no,
all, though,
definitely.
it's like
But at the same time, for the little experience he had, the show he put on again,
Yeah.
Gilbert Burns,
Yeah,
from like 11 to 2 we went, wasn't it? Yeah.
Mhm.
like everyone says, oh, well, like he looked human. Oh, you jump into a Gilbert Burns and see how long you
Yeah.
last.
Yeah, true.
You know what I
Guys,
mean?
We wouldn't
number
look
4
human, we
in
would
the
look
world,
like we've been
kid.
smashed.
Like everyone's like,
Exactly.
oh, well, he lost against Usman. Well, fucking you get into a
Yeah.
fight Usman. I wouldn't.
As I say, I don't think Hamzat's the next big thing. I think Islam's your next big thing. That guy's a fucking monster. like-
Makhachev, Islam.
yeah.
Yeah, he's. Is he getting that title shot? What's going on with that? I
No
know
one
so
knows
much
'cause
politics right now.
Oliveira's
in it,
not
isn't
got the
it?
belt
Yeah.
anymore, and maybe they should have a triple threat match for the first one in MMA history.
It'd be like that Russian stuff he did, a
So
6-on-6.
So
That
good,
stuff is
like-
ridiculous.
Like, so, like that kind of leads us on an interesting question. How have you been involved in any like triple? I know you've been involved in a Rumble, triple threat matches, tag team matches,
Just training wise.
Yeah.
So, like,
How does that work in terms of like? Because obviously there's a lot more communication needs to go between 3
Mhm.
fucking people than 2.
it's still, in my opinion, much and such the same. Just
Yeah.
as long as you all work well together and safe, it'll just turn
I
out.
suppose
great.
that comes down a lot to the third guy buying time on the floor, or
Mhm.
you know, not so much letting the other 2 get on with it. You have 3 people in that match, but you're still kind of wrestling 1-on-1, aren't you? It's not like
Yeah, I guess so. That's more like, yeah, like you get the 2-on-1 and stuff, and then
Yeah, the
get your big
handicap
spots.
matches.
Yeah,
That was the handicap match with DX and the Spirit Squad. I don't know if you remember the Spirit Squad.
you know, it was every triple threat match. The heel, right? I'm out the ring.
Yeah. The ref's knocked out. The chairs are out.
The fucking Dolph Ziggler was in the Spirit Squad, man.
Oh yeah, sure. He's the only one that survived.
Yeah.
He's like, he was at NXT champ again for a while. He went down over there and had a match
I always
against-
liked him. Like he was
so underrated.
yeah, really.
You see the
good
pop he
wrestler.
got when he cashed in the Money in the Bank
Money in
against
the
Del
Bank.
Rio. That was fantastic.
That was like
wasn't it?
Edge's title for ages, wasn't it? He, like,
Del Rio fought in Pride in a mask.
yeah.
Yeah, Crow got.
Yeah, I forgot
Was
about
it
that.
Crow Cop?
Yeah, he fought Crow
Wow,
Cop, man.
Damn.
Yeah, did you not get head kicked?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got
he
ended.
fucking,
Well, of
like,
course.
ended like.
Why would you fight Crow
Jesus.
Cop?
Why would you fight in a
In a
mask?
mask. Yeah.
Just to keep his teeth together or some shit. Like, God.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is. Have you got anything else? Like,
Uh,
I've got so much I want to ask about fucking just wrestling.
Yeah,
that
but
I don't
it
want to
feels
get.
like we would be at like 4 hours
Yeah.
at that point, and that's a lot of editing.
Yeah.
But I thought I would ask before we round it off, because we go over an hour and a quarter, which, you know, time flies. But
Yeah.
like every time we do this, I think to myself, right, you know, where are we going to go from here and what we're going to speak about, and then it's just like I'm not even on my 3rd question yet, and we're through the entire hour, you know. But I was going to ask. We've spoke to Bradley. We usually do a little preview clip to promote the episode. I was wondering if it would be okay if you could do us a little promo as Mayhem to release it
Yeah.
on social media. But well, don't worry, we'll take a minute break and I'll set that up and stuff. We
Yeah,
won't
of course
do
we
it right
can.
this moment, but stay tuned. But
We also have an interesting podcast idea.
with Doug, yeah.
So we want to do wrestling versus wrestling and get you and Doug on.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? It's just,
Easy.
It's just going to be a chat about wrestling.
If it means I get to sit in the chair and slag Doug off to his face, I'm
brilliant, brilliant.
give me the paper.
Right,
I'll sign it.
somebody get an Earl Hebner uniform on.
And like we could always talk about the pro wrestling getting disrespect, but the other wrestling has gained some serious disrespect.
Oh fuck!
From
To
like,
no end, like
I
yeah,
don't know if anyone's ever watched the South Park episode of wrestling.
yeah. Well, he
Yeah.
took his job.
Yeah. There's, you take your shirt and porn and get on Elvis bar.
Yeah, freestyle gets so much
Yeah,
disrespect.
But,
So we're so keen to do that, like, and yeah, just it's not very often you can get 2 of the same sport but different aspects of the sport
It's like
together.
same mum, different dads.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, man.
There is your preview clip
Yeah.
right there.
Oh man. Yeah.
It was like, what was it Aidan said? I would rather guide my mum into my dad.
No.
We're like, fuck.
Wait, where are we going with that? Is dad in
Sorry, Aidan.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh Christ.
fucking hell.
Oh,
Right, it's just.
I don't think I could take much more.
Oh, brilliant.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, mate.
Thank
That
you for
was
having me.
brilliant.
Thank you
that
for
was
having
really
me.
good.